So we're back. We're back with the role of fats in living organisms. All right. So let's just put this a bit higher there. Yes, perfect. So role of fats in living organisms. So fats are used as an energy store. That means they are stored up as energy. So they are stored up as energy stores or energy reserves in the body in cases whereby there's no sugar in the body anymore. Now, the body can rely on fats being burnt in order to generate the energy necessary for the body to function. Okay. Then we have insulation against heat loss. That's bullet point 2. Why? Because fats are stored under the skin. We have layers of fat stored under the skin, which will, of course, keep the heat in. Now, if you want to know more about insulation against heat loss, which of course are mechanisms of the body, it would be wise to watch the video on homeostasis, which I'll make. Moving on, formation of cell membranes and outer covering of nerves. Here, fats are also used to form cell membranes. Now, the outer covering of cell nerves, that being sensory nerves, motor nerves, found in the motor neurons and sensory neurons. The myelin sheath actually is made up of fat, which is a layer of fat that will, of course, protect the nerve cell and also amplify impulses. Okay. Then we have the shock absorber. It is a shock absorber around delicate mammalian organs such as kidneys. That means we have a layer of fat that absorbs any shock. Let's say you get punched somewhere around the kidneys. Your kidneys will be protected by the layer of fat around them so that they don't experience the shock, because these are delicate organs whereby if these are damaged, well, there's a problem now in your excretory system. You won't be able to detox the body because, not detox, but how do I say this? The kidneys are the filtration system for the human body. But I won't go too deep into that because that's another lesson on excretion, which of course is another video again. Anyways, moving on. It prevents fur and hair from becoming waterlogged when wet. That means fats prevent fur and hair from becoming waterlogged when wet. Waterlogged basically means it's being filled with so much water it creates a problem for the cells in the living organism. Okay, now we move on to the last but not least, proteins. Proteins. Um, Before I go any further with the proteins, okay, so we see that that's protein. So of course we don't need to be hung up on that. So proteins. Okay. We ought to know how to draw that structure. Grade 11. It's very important. So you should draw that structure with your two hydrogens and your nitrogen, and then your R group, and then your hydrogen, and this carbon, and of course oxygen with a double bond, and then the oxygen with a hydrogen, which is actually known as a hydroxide group. So hydroxide, oxygen with a double bond, bonded to the carbon, the R group, the two hydrogens, the nitrogen. Now, these two hydrogens with this nitrogen are known as the amide group. Of course, this is known as the hydroxyl group because of the hydroxide. Then we have the oxygen bonded to carbon in a double bond, and then we have the hydrogen over here and the R group. Perfect. Now, what's the structure of proteins? Proteins have a basic structure of amino acids. The primary structure of proteins is a chain of amino acids. Then it progresses to a secondary structure where we have a peptide link in between polypeptide chains formed of the alpha helix and the beta sheet. Now, peptide links are here, where you have your hydrogen bonded to a nitrogen, and then that nitrogen bonded to a carbon, that carbon bonded to another carbon with a double bond to the oxygen, and then the chain continues. You see there's a H N C C O N H C, more or less. The same goes for the bottom layer here. We have again nitrogen bonded to a carbon, double bond with oxygen, another carbon, then goes with the nitrogen, and so on. The chain continues. Now, my main focus is the red. Those are your peptide links. So you see here that H with the N bonds with the oxygen, the carbon. And there we have nitrogen with the hydrogen bonding with the oxygen to the carbon. So you won't be asked to draw this. So fear not, okay? But you should know that there are peptide links between every polypeptide chain. So this is a polypeptide chain. This is another polypeptide chain. In between these two chains is where we have our peptide links. Hence, polypeptide chain. Okay, perfect. Moving on. Tertiary structure, we have the supercoiling of this virion polypeptide chain. Now, one thing to bear in mind, this peptide link is found in both structures of the alpha helix and the beta sheet, right? And then we move on to the quaternary structure. We have several supercoiled polypeptide chains fitted together. Now, the quaternary structure and tertiary structure and secondary structure are just the build up from the primary structure. So again, I repeat, primary structure is the chain of amino acids. Secondary structure has, of course, the polypeptide chains, alpha helix, beta sheet. Tertiary structure is just a supercoiling of these polypeptide chains. The quaternary structure, of course, are just several supercoiled polypeptide chains. The tertiary structure fitted together. Finally, we move now to the role of proteins in a living organism, which is just, of course, the one, or I see two there, it seems. So, growth and cell repair. The more protein, the more growth in the body, and the more repair to cells that might be damaged during an illness the person experienced. Then we have antibodies. Antibodies, enzymes, hemoglobin, which is the protein that attaches to oxygen to transport oxygen around the body, and hormones are all formed from protein. And of course, we covered enzymes in enzymes part 1, part 2, and 3. And enzymes are proteins. According to the definition, enzymes are catalysts, but they are also proteins. Voila, we are done with that. So there we have proteins. And that's the end of biological molecules, comprising of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins.